Today I'm building the most realistic LEGO D-Day MOC ever, with real sand, soil, and rocks gathered from a World War II fortified beach. Then I'm going to be flooding the entire thing with water to find out which World War II landing craft can float better, the American LCVP or the British LCA. And this is where we're up to. No, you are not watching a gardening show. As you can see, I've got the tarp in and I've tried to kind of secure it around the edge. I'm going to try and build this up. The dirt is the foundation. Sand will go on top of this and it's going to be a gradual incline all the way up the hill. Then we're going to get Lego bunkers. We're going to get craters. We're going to have a bunch of Lego landing craft floating in water over here. It's going to be excellent and we're going to get started with the rest of the soil and the beach sand now. Right, time to crawl under the desk again. Alright, so bag of soil number 2. If I need a third bag of soil, someone's getting hurt. Gonna make a surgical incision at the top here. Lovely stuff. I should start a gardening show. I bet you it would be explosive. And by which I don't mean I'm gonna be making compost bombs. Well, I want to be clear about that. We should probably start getting the sand in, so I'm going to do that now. Alright, let's try and spread that out a bit. Why waste time? Let's just get the rest of it in. Ah, there's a seashell. You can see the sand comes up almost exactly to the top of the line here. We've got a deep gradient down here, which we're now going to fill with water, and we're going to hope that it's watertight. Now, some of you might remember when I did a LEGO speed building competition against another LEGO YouTuber called the Brick Crew. It was a Sicily campaign, the Battle of LEGO WW2. In fact, the build is actually still behind me back there. Now, debatably, he might have won the speed building competition, but I'm the one that's getting the goodies because he has sent me a Flak 88, and he's also sent me an LCVP Higgins boat for this LEGO D-Day MOC. So let's see what these builds look like once they're done. This is the end result of the Flak 88. Gotta be said, I really like the scale and portion of this little build kit here. It's really, really meaty. These smaller minifigure scale build kits are really nice. Like the amount of detail that they get crammed into such a small package. Only 125 parts. And it looks absolutely fantastic. So now we're gonna move on to the LCVP Higgins boat next. And this is the end result, and honestly, I'm incredibly happy with this. It's really, really spacious, which means we can get, if you can do some basic counting, 14 minifigures lined up in here, because it's minifigures scale, but if you see each one of those little studs there, allows you to get a different minifigure in there. But we've also got space down here for a driver, if you can see in there. We've got a driver area down here, and then 2 gunners. So all in, you can get 17 minifigures into this Bricks of Valor LCVP Higgins boat. Now, if you want to check out this Flak 88 or the LCVP Higgins boat, then go to www.bricksofvalor.de and at checkout, use code SCOT20 for 20% off your purchase. And whilst you're at it, why not follow their Instagram at Bricks of Valor Shop. So here we have our British LCA and also now our American LCVP. Now we're going to be figuring out which of these 2 landing craft can float better in water. Don't know why I specified water. I don't know what else I'd be filling it with. Now before you ask, I suspect neither of them are going to float because they've both got very large holes in them. But the challenge for this video is what will it take to make them float? And which will float for the longest? Guess in the comment section right now, actually. Do you think the LCVP or the LCA will float for longer? Let's try it out. Nobody screenshot my feet. I'm warning you. Stop it, God.
A great success.
Now, YouTube Analytics is telling me that only 25% of you are actually subscribed to this channel. So if you enjoy the process of breathing oxygen and you're not already subscribed to this channel, then I would strongly suggest clicking that subscribe button as fast as you possibly can. Now, cutting back to the studio, I can now say that I had no idea they were going to float as well as that, but they still don't have the minifigures inside. In other words, they're going to be weighed down even more, significantly heavier, which is going to make them sink, probably. I need to get to that computer, so bear with me. I'm going to be adding Lego bunkers, Lego trenches, and also a bunch of Lego World War II minifigures and World War II build kits that have been sent to me, which leads me very nicely into the next section. For example, Panzer Bricklabs. Now, I'm actually quite excited for this. This is my first ever package, or first ever anything from Panzer Bricklabs. Lovely little message here from the founder of Panzer Bricklabs. They've sent me road signs and printed crate shells and a printed Panzerfaust. There we go, Churchill 7, I suspect. Ah, there we go, Dreadnought. What a class word, Dreadnought. What appears to be the parts of a camouflaged Panther. 634 parts, easy. Let's have a quick look at the other instructions. 716 parts, looks damn nice, I should add. I've never had or seen a Churchill Mk 7 Lego tank before, so we're going to start with that. And this is the end result, the Churchill Mk 7. Thanks again to Panzer Bricklabs for sending this through. Honestly, the level of detail, the printed bits and bobs all around it as well. Incredibly nice World War II Lego build kit. Make sure you go check out Panzer Bricklabs by using the link that I've put in the video description. This is my very first British Churchill Lego tank, and I got to say, I'm really happy with it. Realizing that this LEGO D-Day MOC was going to end up looking more like a swamp, I headed back to the shops, bought another tarp, 30 kilograms more sand. Then I came home and drained all of the water from the existing build. Once that was gone, I laid down the new tarp, weighed it down with sand to get the edges, fixed the tarp in place, and this is the end result. It's looking a little bit more like an actual Normandy beach now. You might notice the water looks a bit murky. That's just because there's still some sand floating around. Once that settles, it will be looking pretty nice, but this is where the real detail comes in. That is looking a lot more like a used beach, and then the sand, whilst a little bit wet over here, is still dry at the back. Also, there's just a lot more of it. Now, you'll also notice I dug these craters out. My Churchill Mk 7 is now next to the British LCA, and similarly, the LCVP is accompanied by the American Sherman duplex drive. Remember, whichever of these landing craft floats better will be the army that invades this D-Day beach. So will it be the American combo or the British combo? We'll find out soon enough. So you'll notice that the studio is looking a bit empty, and that's because I've moved into a new office. I can now actually have a home where I can invite people in, but more importantly, I've now got a dedicated space where I can do my Lego builds. It's a bigger space, I can do a lot more with it, and it's not in my home, so I can get creative and start having fun. Speaking of which, I'm going to start by fulfilling one of my childhood dreams, making my own Scots plastic Lego World War I minifigure. The first of many Lego minifigures that I'll be making myself. In this, my brand new office, which, yes, is still not finished. It doesn't look great, but it will, especially with the inclusion of this, my brand new content puppy. Now, if you want that Lego minifigure or new German minifigures that I'll be making this week, we will be selling them on Whatnot this Friday, where you will also get the pleasure of meeting Cody once again. And oh boy, do I have something interesting for you. These are from Evers Custom Bricks, and I thought this was absolutely insane. So, Evers Custom Bricks has made, have a look at that. It's me. It's literally Scots plastic. I love what they've done here. This is honestly gonna hold a very special place in my heart. This is so cool. I mean, look at this guy here. These are, in case you're wondering, by the way, yes, these are hand painted. Look at the detail on the grenades here, and the webbing in particular as well. It's just absolutely insane. It's also got the painted M1A1 Thompson here too. Look at the detail on this German World War II Lego minifigure. Look at the detail on that webbing. I've never seen a Lego minifigure with that much detail. I want to make sure I get this in frame because these are crazy and you need to go check these out. So this is another German over here. Let's have a quick look. So he's got a Car 98 as well. He looks to also be camouflaged here. You can see he's got multiple colors on the grenade sticks, or sorry, the tatty mashers on his around his webbing, and again, painted custom webbing. And yes, he's also possessed by Lord Voldemort. This gentleman here looking slightly too confident for the battle that is about to come. Again, hand-painted webbing here. here. Look at the grenade on him there. And again, the webbing on the back side as well. This is actually probably my favorite bits on these hand-painted minifigures. The detailing on the reverse side of the webbing is wild. Another German World War II minifigure, this time with an MG40. And he's got painted webbing on the back here, particularly like the style helm. It's just really nicely done. But the attention to detail on like the bullet casings there as well, it's just fantastic. It's just like, how much detail can you get into such a small minifigure? So I will of course be using all of these minifigures in the build, and again, massive shout out to Evers Custom Bricks. Now, realizing that I still don't have rocks for the Lego build behind me, I keep calling it a Lego build, let's be honest, it's a sand pit currently. Basically, I need to go get some rocks, and so I'm gonna go pick some out the street. Because of course I am. I think this is going to look incredible once it's done. 5 craters are now back in position, and yeah, the entire thing is basically just sludge and it feels horrible to touch, but there's not much that can be done about that. Some of them are just kind of drowning. This one here is kind of, you can still see the square profile. This one's actually maybe the best one here. You can kind of just see a nice blend of Lego underneath. I realized I've actually got a couple of minifigures I can already add to the landing craft. So for the American LCVP from Bricks of Valor, I'm gonna add these 2 Americans, and for the British LCA, I'm gonna add me. So here I am. I know it's a World War I minifigure, but I don't care. I'm going to be leading the charge for the Brits, but the rest of the minifigures are still to come. We're gonna fill this LCA up, and again, remember, we're gonna be figuring out if it floats in this horrible, messy puddle. And now let's also get a couple of these American minifigures. Focus, there we go, there he is. Let's get him into the LCVP. You know those channels that do like really professional, high quality dioramas? I think if they watched this, they would probably try and kill. Now over here, I've got a whole bunch of new minifigures to assemble for this build, including but not limited to, I believe, an Austrian painter may also be in here. And here we go, one very full American LCVP Higgins boat. Look how many minifigures I managed to fit into this LCVP. This is a massive W for the designer. Of course, Bricks of Valor here. Also, I forgot about those guys having faces on the back of their heads. What I decided to do with the Ever Custom Bricks guys, which is these dudes over here, I decided because there's only 2 of them, I'll get them on the Browning machine guns at the back. And then the rest of these guys, which is really gonna upset a lot of you, the rest of them are all airborne infantry over here, lined up, ready to go.
I look forward to your angry letters.
Okay, so time for a pretty substantial build update. Over here, you can see we've got a whole bunch of water that's shaking around. That had been soaked up into the entire build, which basically meant everything was wet. Now, what I've been doing is I've got some of these kind of like diorama type sand stuff. What I will do later on is I'm going to sprinkle this stuff on, because what you can see is it kind of like you get a brighter, well, basically it's just not wet. So I will do that for the finishing touches, but for the time being, I'm going to stick that to the side. What you will notice is I've got the barbed wire down here. Also, I suppose I haven't even shown you this bunker yet, or this little machine gun position, and of course Bricks of Valor's Flak 88 is now in position on the back over here. You can see we've kind of got little like trenches running up to it, the dirt, and then also this kind of real foliage is then building up to it. We've got a little bit of a pathway down here, same thing on the other side where we've got a pathway down here leading up to the machine gun position. Now the intention is, once we've got the minifigures and the tanks and the vehicles and all that kind of stuff into position, which will be taking place soon, you can see here, this is kind of the entranceway off of the beach. This is where there's a gap in the barbed wire, and this is where the allies will be making their way up. However, we're going to be getting one of Bricks of Valor's new tanks in that position, and of course we still need to figure out whether or not it's going to be the British or whether it's going to be the Americans that will be assaulting this beach, which of course will soon be defended by Germans. Alright, you're not going to believe this. Not only did Bricks of Valor send me this incredible LCVP Higgins boat, but have a look at this. They've now sent me a Tiger. They've sent me a Panzer IV, a KV-1, and a Nashorn. Now, obviously, for the purposes of this video, I'm not going to be building the KV-1, seeing as there probably were not many. We're going to get cracking with these in a moment, but I've got to say, just a massive shout out to Bricks of Valor for sending me this stuff. I mean, look at this guy here. That is incredible, and I'm also dead excited about this camera camouflage tiger over here. That is unbelievably nice. And if you want 20% off, then use code SCOT20. Now this here was the box that we got from Bricks of Valor for the winter camouflaged Nashorn. And after all of that building, this is the end result. This is actually one of the nicest build kits I've seen in a while. And it's quite unique as well. Now obviously because this Nashorn is winter camouflage, probably doesn't make much sense for an Operation Overlord D-Day LEGO MOC, but we will be using this in a future video. Now the next Bricks of Valor tank that I built was this Panzer 4 with a really nice camouflage. And once again, after all of that building, this here is the end result. And I've got to say, yet again, just a really nice, well put together, and frankly, pretty sturdy LEGO World War II build kit. So let's line him up next to the Nashorn over there. And last but by no means least, we then have this Tiger tank, which looks absolutely insane on the box. And once again, after all that building, we now have a different camouflage. I don't know what the camouflage would be called. World War II LEGO build kit Tiger tank, and it looks again absolutely fantastic, particularly the detail that they've got on the back here. Now the decision is, which of these two World War II German tanks do we use for this D-Day MOC? I'm leaning towards the Panzer 4 to be completely honest, but I'm not quite sure yet. Now I have also received something quite interesting in the post. Of course you can probably take a guess as to what this is. This is a nondescript World War II German politician. This is a historical figure that has a mustache. We have another mustache gentleman that is wearing a white uniform this time. This one here has a comb over and is again very angry. A very angry comb over individual. And then last but not least, a slightly less angry but quite frustrated comb over gentleman here once again. So there you go, there's 5 new LEGO minifigures. Of course not produced or endorsed by LEGO. You might be surprised to hear. If you get these like weapons from just standard minifigure companies, they tend to be pretty basic. If you get them shipped from AliExpress, you tend to get much better quality weapons, to be completely honest. A reloaded Car 98 for example, but these instead, these are two-tone, so you can see the metal and then you can also see the wood as well. And last but by no means least, I also wanted to show you these from the Cantina. So these are custom World War II flags. This is possibly my favorite. We have this universal red cross here. We've also got the Hearts of Iron German flag. We've got Vichy France here as well, which is quite a niche one. And then it's got to be said, like this here, the rising sun, absolutely fantastic. So here you can see we've taken a standard World War II German uniform over here and we've just given them the splinter camo greatcoat essentially. Suddenly you've got a World War II German from a blank minifigure. And kind of destroyed their packaging here unfortunately as I opened it. But be sure to check the Cantina out below. It will be linked in the video description. Okay, it's finally time to find out which landing craft floats the longest, and that will determine which of these allied armies will be attacking the Germans. Now, last time I tested this, it was in the North Sea. Now, that's obviously salt water as opposed to what I've got here, which is fresh water, which is less buoyant. So it's possible that neither of them will float, is basically what I'm saying, but we'll figure it out now. The decision to use an official timer to count how long each of the landing craft are going to float in the water. No, I'm not placing this in the water. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to start with the LCVP Higgins boat, the Americans first. As I drop it into the water to see how long it floats for, I'm going to start the timer. And again, we're seeing which lasts for longer. So, 3, 2, 1. Okay, oh, he's taking on water. It's taking on a substantial amount of water. I mean, it actually could have taken on more water, but technically, I'm gonna count that as a pass because it didn't sink completely. It's just not exactly floating completely either. It's a bit of a gray area, but we're gonna call that a success. So let's pull this out of the horrible water that's been sitting there for a week. And now we're gonna try with the larger British LCA, or Landing Craft Assault. Now, this is heavier. I suspect this may actually be worse at floating, but we're about to find out. So we're going to start the clock in 3, 2, 1. Okay, it kind of had a bit of a heavy impact there. It's taken on water. It's taking on quite a substantial amount of water. It looks like it's going to be, of course, actually, you know what? It may actually do a better job at floating. I'm going to stop it there. Okay, so I've stopped at 52 seconds, right? This is going to be very difficult to judge because they both kind of floated and kind of sunk. I'm going to call that an American victory. I'm calling that an American victory there, okay? But it was so close that I might put the British and the Americans on because neither of them really floated and neither of them really sank. We're going to get all the minifigures for the British and Americans down, and then we're going to get the German defenders down. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the real LEGO World War II D-Day MOC. Over here we have the Bricks of Valor, Panzer IV and Tiger tank, as well as the Flak 88, supported by a bunch of German defenders firing onto, once again, the Bricks of Valor LCVP and the Brick by Design Sherman Duplex Drive. You can also see we got the Cape's Cantina American flag and also the German flag over here. Now, you'll probably take a notice here for a second. They've actually only got the Americans on, and over here we've of course got the LCA and the Panzer Bricklabs Churchill 7, which, by the way, the trackset, it actually looks really cool with the sand on the bottom of it in the tracks down there. Basically, there just wasn't quite enough space for all of these dudes here. The Americans did actually technically perform better, and therefore the Americans are the one that being given the honor of storming this beach on D-Day. Now, as you can see, we've got a couple of casualties down here. It works pretty nicely actually because they fall into the sand. This guy over here has been bent over the barbed wire as he's tried to charge forward, and then we've also got a bunch of these Americans over here, and then a bunch of these minifigures charging out the LCVP Higginsboat up the beach into this German defense over here. Now, this is a machine gun pillbox over here. This is a pretty substantial bunker. You can see what I've done with the rocks around the front, also the barbed wire down here as well. And then I'm not sure how much detail I went into earlier about this kind of earthy terrain bit over here, but to be completely honest, I'm actually pretty happy with how that came together. It looks like a real natural defense over here where there's kind of this opening into the land down here, which is being defended by these two tanks. Again, obviously the camouflage probably isn't what you'd expect to find on the beaches of D-Day at this point during a war, but it is what it is. That's what we've got. Overall though, really happy with how this has come together. Now again, on this build, there's so many parts that have been sent to us. They're all going to be linked in the video description down below. And thank you for watching the video. If you've not already subscribed, please do subscribe. We've got a lot of big things coming up in this new office space. Speaking of which, tomorrow we will be live streaming the Whatnot show where we're selling our new minifigures. Make sure you check the links down below and bookmark the show, and we will see you tomorrow.